You're listening to The Power Project. I'm your host, Brandy Voth. I also like to think that I'm your guide along this journey of purpose, which is where you will hopefully end up at the end of this podcast. I'm a mom, a wife, a daughter, a friend, an entrepreneur, an advocate in the fight against human trafficking. I wear a lot of hats, y'all, but don't we all? And most importantly, I am passionate about inspiring women to go out and lead purpose-filled lives while owning your God-given power. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome back to The Power Project. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I wanted to touch on the power of the mind. Now, I've discussed in previous episodes about anxiety and depression and really heavy, deep issues that we deal with, that we all struggle with as far as mental health. However, today I want to shift and I want to talk about something that is so important to me. It is something that I'm passionate about and I love teaching and coaching, and that is mindset. But we're going to look at a different spin on mindset, because I think that there are two really wide realms of opposite ends of the spectrum of mindset. We have victim mindset and we have responsible mindset. And oftentimes we can become stuck in the victim mindset stage. And this is not undermining anyone that has been through trauma or tragedy in life that allows us to be in that place for a bit. But what I really want to emphasize is that we don't have to stay in that place. So how do we move from being stuck into a place of growth? So a person with responsible mindset takes initiative, strives for growth. The responsible mindset is driven internally from an internal factor and not necessarily external forces. And the responsible mindset really says that we're going to make the decisions that tend to help us to be the healthiest versions of ourselves, the most serving versions of ourselves, the most giving in all the ways that God created us to walk in this purpose that He put us on this planet for. That is why this is important. That is why we really need to learn how to develop this responsible mindset, because I think oftentimes it's easy to sit back and see someone that is doing things that you would maybe feel like you should be doing or you want to be doing, but you don't know how to get there. And oftentimes that looks like we're sitting in a place of a victim mindset versus that responsible mindset. So we're choosing to binge on Netflix or junk food or do other unhealthy habits rather than moving forward and making healthy decisions. And a responsible mindset is going to say that even when people aren't looking, we're going to eat the celery and drink the water and go exercise, even when it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. That's the responsible mindset that we want to develop, because this is how we become really activated in our purpose. This is how we begin to step into what it is that we're called for. Now, a victim mentality, a victim mindset is going to look at things like, why does this keep happening to me? This is a good way to identify if you're sitting in a place of victim mindset. Why did things keep happening to me? Why is everyone out to get me? A lot of times a person stuck in victim mindset will think, if only I had this, I could do this, rather than acknowledging what they do have in that moment. And then a victim is going to typically express feelings of sorrow, an overwhelming sense of overwhelm. They're going to express feelings of helplessness and defeatedness, and they're going to look for things to be better one day. It's that all famous idea, this utopian idea that one day we're going to have enough money. One day we're going to be skinny enough. One day we're going to be healthy enough. One day we're going to have the job we like. A victim mindset will tend to think that things could be better, but not necessarily take actions to make things better. So the thing that I really want to focus on here is that this is not pigeonholing one person into one mindset. All personalities and all walks of life can fall victim to victim mindset, but also grow into responsible mindset. It's what we choose to do along the way that determines whether we stay in one place or the other. Now, I am a huge advocate for the Enneagram test, the Strength Finder test, our spiritual giftings. I'm really adamant about leaning into who we were created to be. And so in that, I do a lot of studying on different personalities and different personality types and what makes people tick and why they do certain things. So what I've found is that any personality can be either victim mindset or responsible mindset. So the different ways that different personalities can be in the victim mindset realm is going to be that they feel like life has dealt them an unfair hand. They are distrusting of others. They're manipulative. They're deceitful. They tend to see growth as competition. They become defensive really easily. They have scarcity mindset, meaning that maybe they don't think there's enough money out there for everyone. Maybe they don't think there's enough job opportunities out there for everyone. Maybe they don't think there's enough people reading books to write a book. It's that whole scarcity mentality that if I'm doing this, you can't do this also because there's not enough. They can also be manipulative when different personalities are in this victim mindset. They're going to want instant gratification. They're going to use others for their own agenda. Sometimes some personality types will overinflate their importance. They will try to be the center of attention. They can be codependent. They can be needy. If any of this is resonating with you, if you know someone that is walking through these stages of victim mindset, or if you yourself are experiencing victim mindset, it's okay. Don't quit listening. Don't quit watching, because we're going to walk through stages of how we can move from that victim mentality, that victim mindset, into responsible mindset. Now, responsible mindset, whereas the victim mindset said, why does this keep happening to me? A responsibility mindset is going to say, what action can I take to prevent this from happening? And then a victim mindset is going to say, if I only had this, I could do this. But a responsibility mindset is going to say, I can do this in order to have this. Really, the difference between the victim mindset and the responsibility mindset truly is the action that we take to get out of that place. So a responsibility mindset is going to express gratitude, optimism, contentedness, peace in the present. So oftentimes, responsibility mindset is looking to the future, is looking to growth, but they're also peaceful and content with where they are in life. They don't feel like they have to wait for that one day moment. So they have hope for the future, but they have peace, joy, and gratitude in the present. And once again, just like all personalities can fall into that victim mindset, all personalities can move into a responsible growth mindset if you have not already gotten there. So the way that different personalities are when they're in the responsibility mindset is that they have a commitment to service to others. They can be patient, even if patience isn't something that naturally comes to them. They are persistent, meaning that even when they face failure or they get knocked down, they still get back up. They still keep going. They embrace community and collaboration over competition. They realize that there's enough room at the table for all of us and that we're better together. They can recognize strengths in others rather than being threatened by another person's growth. They recognize happiness as a choice rather than just sitting in the victim mindset and saying, I'm not happy. They choose each day to choose happiness and to choose gratitude. They are unselfish. They use their powers for good. They make practical decisions rather than decisions based on emotional whims. If you find yourself making really rash decisions, impulsive decisions, spur of the moment, fueled by whatever emotion you're experiencing at that time, oftentimes you're going to then find yourself asking, why did this happen to me? Why does this keep happening to me? Why does the world hate me? And that's how we stay in that turmoil of that victim mindset. So in the responsibility mindset, we're making our practical decisions. We're making informed decisions. We're practicing moderation versus self-indulgence. And we're choosing to not binge on the junk food, but eat the celery. We're choosing healthy decisions in life. I use that one quite often because it's just really easy to pick on celery and junk food. But that applies to all sorts of things in life that you can be overindulgent with or moderate yourself with. Now, I told you there was good news, that we were going to walk through moving from a victim mindset to a responsible mindset. And I think this is really important because I find that even people that don't recognize the fact, and I've been guilty of it. I've been in a place where I have been in that victim mindset and not even known and not even realized what it was that I was doing to myself and how I was sabotaging myself by staying there. So oftentimes when I'm working with people that have gone through trauma, they tend to sit there because it takes growth to transition into this growth mindset. Even when I'm dealing with people who have not endured trauma, sometimes it seems easier to stay in the victim mindset and blame others, even if others are the reason that you've ended up there in the first place. Sometimes it's easier to stay there and blame others rather than putting the work in to grow into this responsible mindset. But if you will put a few things in place in your life and you start practicing them repeatedly, then you can move into that mindset. Because I want you to realize right now, whatever circumstance you are in, and please, if you can hear the sound of my voice, know that every single bit of this comes out of love. Every single bit of this is here to help you. Every single bit of this is because I believe that you were put on the face of this planet to serve a purpose that only you can uniquely serve. And so I'm so passionate about helping you realize that purpose. And while you're sitting in that stuck place, while you're sitting in that victim mindset, you're not able to fulfill what it is you're being called to do in life. Whatever that is, whether it is to show up really well for others and love others, which is really our number one calling. We can't do that when we're staying in that victim mindset, when we're not moving forward. So here are 15 ways that we can work through going from a victim mindset to a responsible mindset, because that victim mindset's like an anchor. And we're not rising. We're not rising with the tide. It's pulling us back down. But when we start to develop this responsible mindset, we can start to rise with the tide. We can start to experience growth. We can start to sail the sea of the horizon of purpose that is just out there waiting for us to clench. So come along with me, because whatever position you're in today, this space that you're in, if you're in this place of victim mindset, know that whatever led you to be there, whatever past you've gone through, whatever trauma, whatever trial you have walked through that has led you to this place, that doesn't define you. It doesn't determine who you will be in the future. So let's start unpacking who you can become in the future. Some ways that you can get out of that place of mindset. For starters, is to take yourself and interrupt your thought process. Interrupt that process that leads you to think that everything's going to be better one day, or you're going to have X, Y, and Z one day. There's a difference in dreaming and planning for the future than just waiting for things to work out for us magically one day. Instead, we're going to interrupt that thought process. We're going to self-correct with the statement, as soon as you think, one day I will, you should write down, today I will. So if it is, one day I will lose 50 pounds, we're going to write down, today I will choose to pick up the celery and not the junk food. Or today I will choose to walk to the mailbox. Today I will choose to walk 1 mile. Today I will choose to get 8 hours of sleep. So whatever your one day idea is, whatever your great big grand thought process is of things being better one day, let's look at what we can do today to take a healthy step in that direction. Secondly, you're going to surround yourself with others that have the same mindset with you as you do, and they encourage you and they push you in growth. Because you guys, you are the representation of the 5 people you're closely surrounded with. That is true, because we tend to build each other up or bring each other down. So surround yourself with people that are growing. Surround yourself with people that are holding themselves accountable. Surround yourselves with people that are going to hold you accountable, because that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to develop a growth mindset and a responsible mindset. If you don't see people with responsible mindsets around you, start looking. There's all types of groups on social media for people with responsible mindsets. Maybe that's not the name of the groups, but you can find those people. They are out there. Find those people in your church. Find them in your local community. Find people that want to grow with you and link arms and run, because it's way more fun on the responsible mindset side of things. I promise you. You're going to also get out of your comfort zone. So start volunteering. This is the best way to realize how great you have it made. This is the best way to help yourself start to realize gratitude and develop growth, is by serving others that are less fortunate than you, serving others that need your help, serving others that maybe it's not comfortable for you to do, and it stretches you out of your comfort zone, but it helps you to learn something from them. So when I signed up to volunteer with an aftercare home, I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was able to help me develop even a greater growth mindset and have that responsible mindset. When I went with my friend's organization to do street outreach within the homeless community, I didn't know anything about that. That totally got me out of my comfort zone. But it's a way that you can continue to grow and just develop that mindset that really says, here we are, we're here to serve this purpose in life, and we're going to step out in faith over fear.
Hey guys, if you've considered starting a podcast, but you're overwhelmed by how to actually launch, I've created a basics of podcasting course over on Skillshare. So you can sign up for my course and get 2 months of free premium membership. Skillshare is where I learn all types of skills that I don't know how to do otherwise. I'll include the link in the show notes. You can head over to Skillshare and search Brandy Voth's class, The Basics of Podcasting.
So now this is a biggie. You're going to be authentically vulnerable with those that you trust. This is not the same as showing up on social media without makeup on and crying and saying it was a hard day. That's fine if you need to do that. But this is being really authentically vulnerable with those that you trust. Find those people that you're going to surround yourself with and confide in them and tell them, what are your struggles? What are your trials? Where do you feel like you're lacking? Where can you improve? Because when we get vulnerable with people, then we allow ourselves to trust, which is going to build trust in ourselves and in God and in the process. So find some people that you can be vulnerable with and confide in them, but not in a way that you are dumping, but in a way that you're looking for a solution, that you're working together towards being responsible and developing this mindset. Journal what it is that you're experiencing, not just your emotions. Journal, get really deep, get really real, get really honest with yourself. What is it that you're afraid of? What is it that you fear the most walking through? What is it that you feel is holding you back the most in life? Anytime that you've gotten close to success, anytime that you've gotten close to stepping out of that victim mindset, anytime that you got close to stepping over that bridge and crossing over into responsible mindset, what was the obstacle that held you back? What kept you there? Write that down in your journal. And then every single time that you feel like you're wanting to give up on this growth journey, then revert to that, look at that, and tell that obstacle that this is not its time in life. It had its time to shine, and it is done. We are moving over that obstacle into opportunity at this point. Admit it. Admit that you want to be healthy. And this is how we're going to grow with this. View your mistakes as a lesson in growth rather than failure, because we are going to make mistakes every single step of the way. I've made so many mistakes. I think I'm going to write a book one day just on all the mistakes I've made in life. And at the time, they felt really hard, especially for my number 3 achiever performer self. But now I look back and I learned something from every mistake that I ever made. So rather than beating yourself up, rather than letting yourself stay in that victim mindset, because that is where the devil wants you to stay, you're going to accept the fact that these failures were just growing pains along the way. They were just a way for you to learn something from that lesson. Now, you have to start accepting constructive criticism. This one is so hard. I know it is. It's really hard for a lot of people. But until we can receive what it is that we lack in, until we can receive feedback on those areas that we lack in, we can't move past that. We can't begin to grow in those areas until we identify it. So you have to accept constructive criticism. Learn to communicate respectfully with others and directly with others, not behind people's backs. Don't be upset and grumble behind. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't shut it down, but respectfully, directly, clearly communicate with others what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you are hoping for, what it is that you're working for, what it is that you are dreaming for. And if you don't know how to do that, there are all kinds of specialists, communication specialists. Go to some counseling, talk to them about how to communicate things with others, because we are so much better as a whole when we can learn to talk through things rather than keeping things shut up and quiet. And Satan wants you to keep that quiet. He wants you just to grumble behind someone's back. He wants you to sow discourse. He doesn't want you to communicate directly. But in order to go from victim mindset over to responsibility mindset, we have to learn to communicate with others. One of the biggest, best ways to adopt this mindset is by learning to shine a light on others and celebrating others' victories. And this goes hand in hand with the fact that we can realize that other successes do not diminish our own potential. We are going to grow even more when we learn to celebrate others' victories, celebrate others' successes, shine lights on them, and know that a rising tide lifts all ships. Seriously. Realize that while your past has impacted you, it doesn't define you. You get to stand in your present and acknowledge who you are today, and you get to set your eyes on who you are working towards being in the future. You are not stuck in this victim mindset of your past and what has happened to you to get you there. Start listening to others. So truly, this is something I personally have to work on daily. I have to work on making sure that I am listening to what people are telling me. Not what I want to hear, not what I want to respond with, but listening to what they are actually telling me. This helps me to be more responsible. It helps me to grow. It helps me to develop this mindset to serve my purpose in life. Okay, this is a biggie. Guard your mind. So when we guard our mind, we're able to guard our hearts. If we find ourselves being sucked into a black hole of drama or a black hole of gossip or anything that is going to contribute to us staying in that victim mindset, if we are in that hole of discourse and drama and negativity and toxicity, it's going to be that much harder to cross that bridge into the responsible mindset. But what we need to do is remove ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally from that situation. Seriously, walk away if it does not serve you. Get it out of your mind, get it out of your life, get it out of your heart so that we can grow. You need to learn to adopt a growth mentality versus a scarcity mentality. Know that just because someone else is telling a story similar to yours doesn't mean they're telling your story. Know that just because someone else has written a book doesn't mean they've written your book. Know that just because someone else has opened a business doesn't mean you can't open a business. Know that just because someone else has a podcast doesn't mean you can't have a podcast. Whatever it is in life, develop that abundance mentality. Develop the idea that, you guys, the table is big, the buffet is spread. There is plenty of room for every single one of us at this table. The last and possibly the most important is to practice control in the small things, in realizing each and every day, how can we be a little less self-indulgent? How can we be a little less selfless? How can we be a little more in control of what we're consuming, what we're putting into the world, what we're putting into our mind? Practice control in those little small increments of the day, every single day. All right, now we have learned how to cross that bridge from victim mindset over to responsibility mindset. But what happens when not everyone that we hung out with in the kiddie pool wants to move over into the deep end with the adults? It can get tricky, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that you are going to adopt a responsible mindset and everyone's going to come with you. I'm not going to tell you that they are going to slowly come. I'm not going to tell you that they're going to come running. The honest to goodness truth is sometimes they're going to come running with you and they're going to be inspired by your journey and they're going to want to be on the journey with you. Other times, they're not going to want any part of what you're doing and they're going to stay right back there in the kiddie pool because it's kind of fun to not have any responsibility mindset over there. So what we have to decide is that those that have stayed in that victim mindset in the kiddie pool, they're not going to be the anchor that pulls us down. We're going to still continue to go to the deep end. We're going to still continue to cross that bridge. So here are 5 ways that you can draw boundaries, healthy boundaries, with having a responsible mindset with those that still have a victim mindset. For starters, you're going to learn to say no to obligations not serving your growth. Oftentimes, when we have a responsible mindset, it seems that we can do anything that we set our mind to, and so people tend to dump things on us. They'll see our strength more accessible than it really should be to them. So you need to get intentional about whether or not this aligns with your mission, whether or not it contributes to your growth, whether or not it helps you serve your mission. And if not, then you shouldn't be doing it. Also, the second thing we need to do is we have to allow others to take ownership. This is a biggie for me. I struggle with this because I have the responsible mindset. I've done the work. I've crossed the bridge. I've swam to the deep end. And oftentimes I think that if I just do it for them, they'll come with me. But that's not true. It actually debilitates them. They don't really learn how to swim on their own if we don't give them their tools, their resources, and let them do it on their own. So don't prevent them from growing. Don't do things for them that they can do for themselves. Show them the tools, show them the resources, tell them to come join you. Number 3, don't allow others that are not striving for the same growth that you are to speak into your life. So if they choose to stay in victim mindset, you have to decide that they don't get to speak into your life. You have to realize that they are not speaking the same language that you are speaking anymore. And that's okay. If that's what they choose, that's great. But they don't get to speak into your life. Do not allow others to make you feel guilty for your growth. And this will happen. But what it is, it's about their own insecurity, their own mindset, their own beliefs. It is their own internal dialogue and what they have going on. You don't get to let them make you feel insecure for what you've done. You don't get to let them make you feel bad for what you've done. You don't get to let them hold you back from your growth. The last is that you have to recognize people stuck in the victim mindset, the ones that are never going to join you, or the ones that certainly don't exhibit any patterns of trying to come join you. You have to realize if they are choosing to stay there, you have to quit trying to make them responsible. Quit trying to pull them, because they are going to be an anchor if you continue to try to pull them. You have to love them where they are. Leave them where they are and love them where they are. Otherwise, your own growth is going to be completely paralyzed. I know that each and every single person, regardless of your personality type, regardless of your socioeconomic background, regardless of your age, your race, your religion, anything, you can develop a responsible mindset. Is it work? Absolutely. It's going to take work. But I believe in you. I know that you can do it. And I know that if you put the work in, you are going to make a massive impact on the world.
I wrote a book, you guys, and I would love to have you be part of the official launch team. Head over to the-powerproject.com, sign up for the newsletter, and I will make sure that you are one of the very first to get your hands on this book. If you enjoyed what you heard in today's show, can I ask that you go write a review, give us a rating, we'll take 5 stars, and tell all your friends. I can't wait to chat with you next week, but until then, live your best purpose-filled lives.